Hello and welcome again to the Writer Review. This is Eric Conrad Writer, and this week we're going to be taking a look back at the 2011 animated martial arts comedy Kung Fu Panda 2. Now, Kung Fu Panda 2's runtime is 1 hour and 30 minutes long. It is directed by Jennifer Yu Nelson. The script was written by Jonathan Eibel and Glenn Berger. It is produced by Melissa Cobb. It is composed by Hans Zimmer and John Powell. And it was edited by Claire Knight. And it features the voice cast list of Jack Black, Angelina Jolie, Gary Oldman, Jackie Chan, Lucy Liu, Seth Rogen, Dustin Hoffman, Michelle Yeoh, Liam Knight, David Cross, James Hong, Dennis Haysbert, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Danny McBride, Fred Tatasciore, Lauren Tom, and Conrad Vernon. You know, one of the main weaknesses that sequels in movies tend to do is take the story they originally made. If it succeeds and scores big at the box office, they just retell the same fucking story over and over again. It's like, why did I pay money to see the sequel when you're just retelling the story all over again? That's ridiculous. But unfortunately, a lot of sequels tend to do that. Why? I don't know. Sadly, the lack of creativity often clearly shows, and then we ask ourselves, what was the point of having a fucking sequel if you're just recycling everything from the first story to begin with? DreamWorks sadly did that with its biggest production with the Shrek series. By the time you get to the fourth installment, it becomes more laboring than enjoyable to watch. But I will give praise to DreamWorks that, the old saying goes is that you can still learn a lot from your mistakes. So apparently DreamWorks eventually got its shit together, and it took the success of the original Kung Fu Panda from 2008 and definitely made the effort to shift the narrative into a newer direction. Sure, most of the cast returned for a second helping of Kung Fu action, whimsical comedy, and larger-than-life characters. Only this time, writers Jonathan Eibel and Glenn Berger, along with first-time director Jennifer Yu Nelson, took the time to explore Po, voiced by Jack Black, his origins, and what happened to his biological parents. And the further we dig deeper into his past, the more I could take pity and sympathy for Po. I think that this movie actually, compared to the first Kung Fu Panda movie, actually took the time to develop a more mature script while still keeping the humor, still keeping the action, and still keeping the characters larger than life. Only this time now we have a more backstory of Po. We actually have a little more dramatic pose to the story instead of just some one-dimensional roller coaster ride of just Po bumbling his way through adversaries without any kind of experience. Sure, he still bumbled from time to time. Sure, he still has a bit of that man-child characteristics that didn't really fully go away. I don't think it even went away during the trilogy, the third installment. But still, that's what we all come to like and adore about Po. We still have to acknowledge the fact that this is still a kids' movie. We are perfectly understandable. But because of the fact that this movie has kind of took a more mature direction in the character of Poe, I give that a lot of praise, thanks to the script and to the direction. The script and the direction made great strides to take the story into a darker route, but not too dark as to make it sour, depressing, and completely sad. But it just took it to maybe dark route could be a little bit harsh, being the fact that that it's still a kids movie, and that but it actually took the narrative to a more mature level, and we can find something that not only just the younger viewers can enjoy, but even something that the adults can gravitate and find something interesting that won't insult their intelligence. For a 3D animated film from family-themed studios like DreamWorks, it's quite mature for its content. So as a continuation from where the film left off, we find our hero, Poe, enjoying his new role in the life as the Dragon Warrior. He has now gained the experience that he has learned from his sensei and also from the Furious Five, who also have took a step up into accepting Poe's character. In the first movie, they practically didn't want them in their lives, but now we're starting to see them evolve into becoming allies with Poe. And it's also like how friendships evolve. When a person first meets a friend, it's kind of cynical that sometimes friends don't just start off as friends. They kind of distance themselves, but once you get to know them and understand them better and know where they're coming from, you might end up having probably one of the best friends you'll ever have. Sure, Poe is still trying to learn the ropes. He's still a little green as a fighter, even though he's black and white. Well, obviously he's black and white because he's a panda bear. But he still has a lot to learn. And he's still learning the ropes from Master Shai Fu, voiced by Dustin Hoffman, and may still seem a little green in combat skills. We already figured it out that he's black and white, so green is in, inexperienced. Shai Fu is now training his prize student to find a new lease on life. Inner peace. He's got the skills, but now he has to find that inner peace in order to really solidify his position as the Dragon Warrior. Always by his side are his more experienced accomplices, the Furious Five, which are Tigress, voiced by Angelina Jolie, Monkey, voiced by Jackie Chan, Viper, voiced by Lucy Liu, Crane, voiced by David Cross, and Mantis, voiced by Seth Rogen, as they are assigned to take down a pack of menacing wolves who are reigning terror in the Chinese city of Gongmen. The Furious Five, like I said, have now aligned themselves with Poe, and their friendship has evolved, especially Tigress, who at one time wanted nothing to do with Poe, but now has had some level of admiration and respect for him. Now these wolves are under the leadership of a diabolical peacock, a silver-colored peacock, who goes by the name of Lord Shen, voiced by Gary Oldman, who, by the way, he was just fucking dominant in this movie. Sure, you would think that a peacock being a villain, a peacock being being the villain in the story, when yet they could have came up with something more, I don't know, aggressive as an animal species. They came up with a fucking peacock. But I'm gonna tell you something. You might be laughing now, but Lord Shen is a fucking badass. I mean, he is just, organically evil to the core. And he has built deadly weapons that could potentially destroy Kung Fu. Not only is he pretty skilled and deadly, he also seems to come across more towards his intellectual level, and he has built all these dangerous, deadly contraptions that could destroy the spirit of Kung Fu because people rely on fighting and skill rather than weaponry. And if weaponry does take a part in the art of Kung Fu could pretty much well be dead. Shen, as evil as he is, well, he still is vulnerable. I mean, apparently in he also has as an origin story as to how he turned out or why he became the way he is. And maybe even though he likes to conceal his evil ways, he also has a fear of pandas, because his soothsayer, voiced by Michelle Yeoh, has had premonitions that he might be killed one day by one. So for this fear alone, Shen had allegedly wiped out the entire panda population. And because of his evil ways, his parents had exiled him from the family tree. Even though he likes to believe that his family exiled him because of his physical and somewhat mental instabilities. So feeling the unlove from his parents, he decided to just turn the way that he did. Almost very similar to Gary Oldman's other character. I'm talking about Count Dracula from Bram Stoker's Dracula, which also seems to stem from the fact that Dracula turned his ways to evil because he felt unloved and underappreciated. So when he learns that one panda has survived the ordeal and is the leader of the Furious Five, he makes it his mission to have him killed, and anyone who gets in his way, with no mercy or no remorse. Hell, he'll even put his own royal subjects in danger if he has to. And if they should get killed, oh well. Not my doing. Actually, it is my doing. But, it's all in a day. You can always be replaced. We all know that Poe's real father isn't a noodle cooking goose chef by the name of Mr. Ping, voiced by James Hong, even though he raised him like a son and cared for him. But the story really goes deeper into the origins of Poe's family and the tragedy behind it through the use of an old hand-drawn animation. Yes, that's right, folks. 2D animation is not dead. It's just not as prevalent as it used to be. It still exists in movies and TV shows. Just not like out there in movies, because most movies these days rely on 3D animation. Nothing wrong with that. But 2D animation has always been thought of being archaic and old But fortunately, it's good to actually see 2D animation implemented into a 3D animated movie. And I thought this was actually pretty cool. And at least we get to know that Poe's family wasn't due to like abandonment and all that. They just wanted him to survive. And, you know, I mean, sure, it's met with tragedy. And yes, his parents did abandon him, but they didn't abandon him out of lack of love. They knew that their lives were being threatened, and they just didn't want to see their son go the way they did, or so we thought. So Poe was pretty much raised under the love and care of Mr. Ping. And of course, we all know that Mr. Ping is not his biological father, but he took him in as a son, and he loved him, and he cared for him, and he didn't put any more radishes in his recipe. But the story really goes deeper into the origins. It teaches, and it also has a great lesson that even though Mr. Ping is not his biological father, he has always been a father to Poe, albeit a different species, and very much raised him to be the strong, powerful fighter that he is. It teaches kind of a lesson of self-acceptance, that even through hard times, and how tragedy can make a person stronger. And even though Poe wasn't raised in a traditional family dynamic, Mr. Ping loved him like a son, and Master Shifu was more than just a trainer, but a mentor to him. And the Furious Five, even though they're not related by blood, they were almost like siblings to him, albeit different species of animals. And I think we have to learn a lesson here, that you should love those who love you back, regardless of how different you look, how different you sound, how different your ways of life are. In the end, everybody's different and everyone is unique, and nobody should be treated like they're insignificant or inferior. And it takes a lot of us to make this world, and we're all one in a billion. And we should all just think of that. Jack Black shows that he can do voice acting equally effective as his live action roles. However, as the voice of Poe, we definitely see a more dramatical character compared to the characters he himself has performed over the years. And this is not to bring him down or anything, but due to the screenplay, we have a cartoon character in a role that is a more human-like story, that is truly more provocative in detail. Poe, though, may be at times a bit of a bumbling idiot, but he's a lovable idiot. And at least we're treated to seeing Jack Black in a role where he's not ridiculed by his awkwardness, though yes, he is still a bit awkward, and his fighting still often requires more work and training. But then he is backed up by an ensemble of terrific A-list performers like the talented Angelina Jolie as the most involved member of the Furious Five and the one most concerned about Poe, the cunning but caring Tigress. And though the chemistry between them may be platonic, I wouldn't be surprised if later down the line they might start to get more romantic. Gary Oldman was the best performer here as the intelligent but dangerous Lord Shen. I think Gary Oldman just nailed every scene he was in. He was always exciting to see. And his voice alone can send shivers down your spine. He is the epitome of evil in this movie, and may probably come down as maybe one of DreamWorks Animation Studios' probably most convincing, most cunning, dangerous villains in this universe. Dustin Hoffman as Shifu sounds unrecognizable to his real voice. But unfortunately, Seth Rogen's Mantis sounds too much like Rogen in real life. I was hoping he would probably change his voice around a little bit. But no, it's pretty much Seth Rogen playing Seth Rogen trapped in the body of a praying mantis who has hopes that one of these days he'll marry the love of his life and then she'll bite his head off. Since that's what the species of mantises do, unfortunately. Yeah, being a male in the insect world does not have its dividends. Just ask the drones and the mosquitoes. Even though in the theaters, when it came out as presented in 3D, even though I only saw it in the 2D format, all I could say is that it was a dazzling palette of brightly enriched colors. Jennifer Nelson Yeoh, director, also shows that hand-drawn animation is not completely obsolete when the narration shifts to the flashbacks and some finger puppet facsimiles in the background. It's fun to look at without straining yourself with 3D glasses. DreamWorks is proving to show that it is the close competition at its rival Pixar, that it has stepped up and evolved in its storytelling and direction. Sure, we could see that in the end we knew that this film would lead to a third installment. It was a shame because all the magic from the first two movies withered in the third one. But that's for another review. But a sequel is at least something that was a dependable and more reliable movie we can watch and never feels too saccharine or dumbed down, so that kids and adults could truly enjoy. So I truly enjoyed this movie very much. I highly recommend people to see Kung Fu Panda. And I think I've said enough. So therefore, if I was to give this movie a scale out of 10, I would definitely give Kung Fu Panda a 9 out of 10. So I guess this ends my ride review. Thank you all for listening in. If you wish to subscribe to my YouTube channel, please feel free to do so. If you wish to leave a comment, go right ahead. But just remember the 3 simple rules. Be kind, be courteous, and please refrain from any rude comments. And I'll be back again with another movie review. So until next time, this is Eric Karate Rider saying, keep watching those movies, and I'll see you around. Goodbye.